Alright, lots of things to cover today. I got some snacks, I got some tea, let's go. Now, in the latest 4.1.1 PTU patch, the patch number is 9719902. In the latest patch, we have almost a total shield rework for many ships. The reason is because CIG reworked all the shields. Now, let's take a look at these ships one by one by their stock shield loadout. Avenger Stalker and Avenger Warlock total shield strengths decreased from 2560 to 2100. Avenger Titan and Titan Renegade increased from 3700 to 4200. Eclipse decreased from 2560 to 2100. Hammerhead increased from 112,200 to 126,800. Reclaimer increased from 165,000 to 187,000. Saber, Saber Comet, Saber Firebird, Saber Peregrine, and Saber Raven decreased from 2560 to 2100. Vanguard Sentinel decreased from 7,020 to 5,780. All Pisces decreased from 1280 to 1050. Carrack increased from 112,200 to 126,800. Hornet Tracker Mark 1 decreased from 4480 to 2940. Ghost Mark 1 and Ghost Mark 2 decreased from 2560 to 2100. FAC Lightning decreased from 7,020 to 5,780. The MPUVs increased from 1850 to 2100. Here is another buff for the Argo Raft. Shield strength increased from 15,300 to 17,280. Mustang Gamma and Mustang Omega decreased from 4,200 to 2740. Crusader C2 Hercules increased from 112,200 to 126,800. MSR increased from 56,100 to 63,400. Caterpillar increased from 168,300 to 190,200. And Colors Blue and Colors Red increased from 5,100 to 5,760. Drake Golem increased from 1850 to 2100. Drake Herald decreased from 2560 to 2100. Drake Vulture increased from 5550 to 6300. The Aspira Prowler decreased from 7020 to 5780. The Talon and Talon Shrike decreased from 2560 to 2100. P72 Archimedes decreased from 2240 to 1470. Mira Fury and Fury MX decreased from 1190 to only 977. The Fury LX decreased from 2100 to 1370. Mira Razor and Razor LX decreased from 2240 to 1470. The Razor EX decreased from 1280 to 1050. Misk Fortune increased from 5550 to 6300. Hall A increased from 4740 to 5360. Hall C increased from 224,400 to 253,600. And the Prospector increased from 5550 to 6300. Reliant Mako decreased from 2560 to 2100. Reliant Sen increased from 3700 to 4200. Starfarer and Starfarer Gemini increased from 168,300 to 190,200. Starlancer Max increased from 56,100 to 63,400. Origin 135C increased from 1850 to 2100. Origin 315P decreased from 2560 to 2100. Origin 350R decreased from 4,480 to 2,940. Origin 600i and 600i Touring increased from 112,200 to 126,800. 85X decreased from 2,240 to 1,470. 890 jump increased from 908,000 to 1,026,000. M50 Interceptor decreased from 2240 to 1470. Aurora CL increased from 3700 to 4200. Aurora LX decreased from 4480 to 2940. Constellation Towers increased from 56,100 to 63,400. The RSI Polaris total shield HP decreased by 44%. From 908,000 to only 513,000. Personally, I think it's fair, because the Polaris has almost 4 million hull HP, and plus a very strong shield. It's really difficult to destroy the Polaris without another Polaris. Besides, you have all the PDCs, and the purpose for the Polaris is to multi-crew the ship. If you want to protect the Polaris, you have to crew it, man it with turrets in order to protect the Polaris from getting shot by light fighters or by other torpedoes. So I think it's fair. 500,000 shield is still pretty strong. Next ship is a Zeus CL. Total shield HP increased from 15,300 to 17,280. And the last ones are the Envoy Centurion and Spartan, increased from 1348 to 1524. And that is it so far for all the shield rebalance. But there are a lot more changes for the latest 4.1.1 PTU patch, including the maneuverability, perhaps speed rework for the 890 jump, as well as the reclaimer. So I will be talking and testing about that in the next. Also, the Polaris Size 6 guns has been reworked with more damage, with heavier recoil, maybe more things. So we'll test that as well in the following videos. So stay tuned.